Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Kate and I love books. So I thought today could be a bit of a bookish vlog. It's very late at night right now, but I have a good haul of indie books and one very popular trad published book that I'm very scared to read, but I thought we could read that book together. I know it's also independent bookstore day tomorrow, so I think I could go to an independent bookstore. I could show some love. That is not a hard ask for me. I think we could go through a book haul, a little bookshop, and I'm going to save the reading until the end because this is a book that I am terrified to pick up. Terrified. And I think this is a book that maybe for some people, maybe not for others, and I am not here to judge whether it is for you or not, but I have seen... I never get FOMO. But I have FOMO of this book. I've seen so many amazing reviews, and it's either a 6-star infinity star read, or it's like a 1-star, I hate this, I don't want to exist in this world. So I'm really intrigued, and I'm not the most judgmental person, I've got to say. I'm more of someone who will take it as it is. So I'd like to try it. It might get returned. This might just be a really short vlog of a DNF, but we'll see. I think I'm going to start it tonight. I'm so scared. But let's start. I have a big pile of indie books that have been recently delivered, and I'm so excited. So I've read a few of these, and some of them are just like trophies to put on my shelf, and some of them are ones that I'm really intrigued to read. So let's go through. There are 5 books in this pile. So let's kick it off with that. So the first book I have on this delivery was Autumn of the Grimoire by J.L. Vampa. And this is the Sister Solstice series, and this is the first book. So J.L. Vampa also did The Exorcism of Fairies. I have already read this. I just finished this last night, and I loved it. I love J.L. Vampa's writing. I think it's super intriguing, and this is such a unique take on the witchcraft elements. So the way that this sort of like felt to me was, I don't know if you've read them, but a mix between the Grave Mercy series by Robin Lefebvre's and Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin, I think it is. There's a French inspiration, there's the witchcraft element, but there's also a lot to do with sort of like death, and I absolutely loved this. It's a beautiful book, and this is again indie published. There is... one moment. There's a beautiful map. This looks like it's going to be an interconnected series, not necessarily interconnected standalone. So this is Autumn of the Grimoire. So it follows 4 sisters who are all representative of the season. So we have autumn, winter, spring, summer. They have different names. So Agatha is our autumn equinox witch, and we follow her take and her tale, and I'm believing the next one will follow the winter sister. And this was so whimsical. So I feel like J.L. Vampa has similar writing to me in the terms of like Rebecca Ross, where it's not overtly explicit, it's not a focus on the romance, but the writing is deeply romantic in and of itself. Puts such an emphasis on love, whether that be romantic, familial, friendship. This is the place to find it. So I really enjoyed this. It wasn't quite as good as Exorcism of Fairies to me, but I really enjoyed this. So I would like to pick up the rest of this series, and I gave this like a 4.5 stars. I loved this, and I'm putting J.L. Vampa up there. She is one of my like to watch authors. I am a fan. I'm a big fan. Oh, do we have 6 books? I think we might have 6 books. The next book I have on this haul is Riftborn by Greenwich and Lennox. I have absolutely no idea what this is about. And to be completely honest, a lot of these books I kind of like to go into blind, because I do feel like a lot of those indie published romantasy books read the exact same. So I don't necessarily love to go in with any idea what's going on. I like to give you guys a rundown once I've finished, but I don't really know what this is about. However, The Ascended is her latest release, and I believe they all kind of like, there's this one, Duskbound, and then The Ascended, and I think they're kind of all within the same universe, should be read in order sort of thing. So let's read the blurb. I'm not sure I've got high hopes based on a blurb in all complete honesty, but Bear with me. 20 years after a rebellion branded her an outcast, Fia Riftborn navigates a city rife with prejudice so deep it's often deadly. But she harbours a secret, one that would paint an even larger target on her back. A hidden power within her is growing, threatening to destroy everything she's built for herself. Enter the elusive Seed General Larrick Ashford, who is building a unit of powerful wielders within the Guard to face a growing threat. Wraiths of darkness devour the western border, leaving a trail of death and destruction in their wake. When Fia's power erupts and 2 daughters of nobility are seemingly dead, General Ashford offers her a chilling choice. Join the Seed Guard or face execution, because Fia might be the only hope for the Isle's survival. Torn between surrendering to the chaos or becoming a weapon for those who took everything from her, Fia must confront her growing feelings for the General and face a dark truth that could shatter everything she's ever known. So I've heard this one is like, okay, and then the second one is brilliant. So we're bearing that in mind when we go into this one. I haven't read it yet, but we're ready for the second one to blow our socks off. It's such a beautiful cover. I love it. I love it dearly. So that's the second one of our indie book haul. This is an indie published book as well. The next one is A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly by Sophia St. Germain. This one I've seen lots of rave reviews from people who I respect and agree with their book opinions. Again, didn't really read the blurb. I was just kind of like, yep, let's have a read-see of the blurb here. We're experiencing this together. Half-Fae Alessia could have had everything. Literally. Since her magic allows her to compel anyone to do her bidding, by merely looking into their eyes, the world was at her feet. But after a tragic accident, she's thrown into the Fae King's dungeons and forced to swear a blood oath to him, binding her to his service. Doesn't sound good. 5 years later, she's living amongst humans in Elo and has created a life for herself, as best she can, with the king's promise to call in his debt looming over her. When he finally comes to collect, she's made to infiltrate the human elections to determine whether the current regent is involved in the strange things happening in the land of Fae. With the promise of freedom from the king's claws, Alessia is determined to see it through. Liberty is within reach as long as she can keep the lethal Fae guard watching over her from eliminating her before she unearths the information the king seeks. But as she grows closer to the brooding human regent and secrets begin to unravel, Alessia realizes greater forces may be at play, and she might stand before the choice between her own freedom and that of a nation. I believe this is a trilogy. Or maybe it's more, but there are currently 3 books out. I'm sold. I do love a good political fantasy, so that sounds right up my alley. I'm very excited for this, and yeah, I think there are 3 books out right now. I don't know if there will be more. Okay, and the last 2 books I have read. I would have listed these on my September reading wrap-up. Oh, they're quite damaged. Oh, I don't like that. It's fine. It's fine. I've seen that these are going to get traditionally republished, and I want the indie versions because of who I am as a person, and I've already read them and I loved them. So I do have The Wolf King and the Night Prince. So this is the first book, this is the second. I believe it's just going to be a trilogy. She says hopefully, because I want a wrap up. But I loved this series. I didn't expect to. I did not anticipate loving this as much as I did, but this was very much like, how do I describe this? A Celtic, like Scottish inspired fantasy with werewolves, and which is not usually like, I mean, the Celtic inspired element would have drawn me in. However, werewolves, I don't know, like, yes, but it wasn't necessarily like my first pick, but I gobbled this up. Over the summer, I was not in a romantasy, anything to do with like a love story really at all. And then in September, I was like, I kind of want like a cheap and cheerful romantasy. So I did this on Kindle Unlimited and I loved it. And then I read the second one immediately afterwards and continued to love it. She's like the princess, of course, as one is in these books. And she's taken by one of the wolves back to their wolfland, and the wolves and the humans have been at odds for yonks, ages, and she starts to like obviously learn their side of the story, figure out the different elements. There's lots of different pieces that are at play that have impacted her life unbeknownst to her, and then there's obviously the love story in the middle, which is I love both of them. I wish this was like a why choose, and I don't usually wish for that, but this one, I'm like, why not both? Why not both? Yeah, I loved this. So this is going to go on my my shelf as a trophy. This is exactly why I ordered this, was to be a trophy, because I loved this a lot more than I thought I would. And I just wanted a little memento of the original ones because I believe that they've been picked up for trad. And then this last book I am terrified of. Terrified. If I don't like it, I can just return it. I have the receipt. Here's the thing. I'm not a dark romance girly to a certain degree. Sometimes they're fun. I can get on board. Most of the time, a lot of elements in dark romance put me off. But this, I haven't seen many people like marketing it as a romance, which gives me hope. I also didn't read Manacled, so I'm going in completely blind. People that I'm friends with on Goodreads have rated this very highly. And then I've also seen it's either like, can't give this enough stars, or like 1 to 0 stars, hate this. So I'm really scared. I'm really scared. And I know this is a dark book. I know this is going to deal with dark topics. And I'm ready for that. I'm ready. It's also over 1,000 pages, which is a thick book. But it also says like a dark fantasy, which I'm okay with. Like, I'm okay with like dark elements of books. That doesn't always put me off. However, sometimes there's a line of like romanticizing it or sexualizing it, you know what I mean? Like, where I'm just like, oh, and I think as well there's an element of like knowing what you're getting into, because for me, Reign of Shadows and Endings by Melissa K. Ruick was, I was like, I don't think I knew what I was getting into, and I didn't particularly like the first book, but after I knew what I was getting into, having read the first book, I really enjoyed the second and third. But the first book, I was like, oh, this is not what I wanted or what I thought it was going to be. And I think I gave the first book like 3 stars upon my first read of it. It would probably be higher now, knowing what I'm getting into. I have seen lots of people like annotating this. I'm scared. This book is so big. It's like, okay, let's read the blurb. Oh, it's got a reversible dust jacket. Once a promising alchemist, Helena Marino is now a prisoner of war and her own mind. Her resistance friends and allies have been brutally murdered, her abilities suppressed, and the world she knew destroyed. In the aftermath of a long war, Palladia's new ruling class of corrupt guild families and depraved necromancers, whose vile undead creatures helped bring about their victory, holds Helena captive. According to Resistance records, she was the healer of little importance within their ranks. But Helena has inexplicable memory loss of the months leading up to her capture, making her enemies wonder, is she truly as insignificant as she appears, or are her lost memories hiding some vital piece of the Resistance final gambit? To uncover the memories buried deep within her mind, Helena is sent to the High Reeve, one of the most powerful and ruthless necromancers in this new world. Trapped on his crumbling estate, Helena's fight to protect her lost history and to preserve the last remaining shreds of her former self is just beginning. For her prison and captor have secrets of their own. Secrets Helena must unearth, whatever the costs. So from my understanding, this started as a Hermione fanfic, which this will be my first foray into that, but it has been traditionally republished and like set in its own world, edited, all of that jazz. And yeah, I'm just scared, to be completely honest. And very heavy trigger warnings in the back. And okay, here's my thing. I was talking to my friend about this. It's like, I don't necessarily think that anything included in a book means that it is romanticized. Like, I read Releasing 10 and I didn't think that was romanticized. I think that was very much a tale of horrible things that happen. And those horrible things do happen to people. And that's like, it's not my place to judge or like say whether it's wrong or right to write about those things. And I think probably that line is slightly different for everyone, but there are lines where I'm like, oh, this is just like making this a thing, or like making this like sexualized or a kink or romanticized. And I think like probably that line is slightly variant for everyone, but I don't think that including subject matter in a book means that it's romanticized. And I'm saying that before going into this because I don't know what this is going to bring and I don't know how I'm going to feel. And I'm just scared because yeah, people love this or they hate this. And I'm worried because I don't want it to be like completely romanticized, and also understand that like if you read like the Poppy War, where it's just like these horrible things happening, because it's a military war fantasy. And that's kind of what I'm anticipating going into this, that this is like a wartime, maybe more espionage rather than military fantasy. So I'm anticipating this is going to be dark. This is going to suck on certain levels, but I'm hoping that it's okay. I'm hoping that there's maybe some hope or redeeming qualities about it. I don't know. I don't know, guys. This could be returned. Who knows? We shall see. Should we read the content warning? No, I don't think we should read the content warnings, but there's a big content note from the author. But she does say that please remember that depiction is not authorial endorsement, and because Alchemized is told in third-person limited point of view, it necessarily involves some distortions of vision as well as missed or misconstrued events. Reader discretion is advised. This list of the content warnings is frightening. Why am I doing this to myself? We're just going to give it a go. We're going to go in with an open mind, maybe a little bit hesitant. I'm going to grab my little annotation stickers just to be safe. And for this video, I'm thinking I will also film reading this book because it's 1,000 pages. So, oh, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Okay, but that was my book haul. Tomorrow, I think I'd like to go to an indie bookshop and maybe partake in the little indie bookshop day. And then we will also be reading this. Anyways, let's get into this video. Well, I guess we're already into this video. But anyways, thank you for being here. Let's keep going. The first snow of the season. It's only October. Like early October. It's October 12th today. Okie dokie. We are going to an indie bookshop. This is a romance-only bookshop, so they, I think, are expanding soon, but it has like different sections. So there's like dark romance, sports romance, contemporary, fantasy. They got second-hand options. We're gonna give it a go. And then it's our Canadian Thanksgiving dinner tonight, so gonna head home and go do that. But it is quite the snowy, dreary day. But let's give it a go. Okay, it is the next day because I got home from the bookshop and I was like ready to do my little haul and show you guys, and it was immediately right into the big like Thanksgiving prep. Had absolutely no time to check in yesterday. So I apologize, but I did get 2 things. So went to the shop and I essentially just asked the woman working there, I was like, what do you recommend? It's indie bookshop day. Like, what do you recommend? And she was asking what I was currently reading. I said Manacled, or not Manacled, I said Alchemized, which she had just finished. And I was like, how was it? Because I'm scared. And she said, it's really good, it's just really devastating. So that's what I'm signing myself up for. She also recommended, because of that, the Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy and Rose in Chains, which are the 2 other kind of like Hermione-inspired fics that came out this year. She said those were both really good. So that's on the future list. But this one I picked up because I'd never heard of it and it was her first recommendation. I was like, sure, why not? And that is Vesselless by Courtney L. Wynne. Never heard of this. I don't think this is indie published because it says Harper Voyager on there. So this is obviously trad. I don't know if it was indie beforehand, but it says an addictive enemies to lovers romance following the heir to a fantasy kingdom and the seductive spirit sent to claim her soul. Nazara, reluctant heir to the kingdom of Zar, has always been able to perceive spirits better than the average caster. When she enters a deadly tournament to end her betrothal, she's determined to win without succumbing to the addictive spirit magic she channels or taking a life in the duel ring. But finding herself outmatched, Nazara must face her fear of power and team up with Dagon, an enemy who is half ghost and all charm, to survive the tournament. Dagon, the last king of Zar, was killed by Nazara's father 10 years ago. Now able to phase between his human and spirit forms, he's stuck in another realm, hunting wretched souls. When his keeper offers him a chance to reclaim his freedom in exchange for Nazara's soul, Dagon takes the deal. There's only one catch. She must give it to him freely by the tournament's end, or his own soul is forfeit. That could be interesting. I asked her as well if this was a standalone or a series, and she said based on the ending there would be more of this. So that'll be fun. I also grabbed one of the free Alchemized bookmarks. So that's gonna go on the TBR cart. I should put all those other new ones on here as well. Okay, and then the last bit I got was just a little bit fun. I thought this would be so cute. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a little, looks like a tarot card, but it's wood. It's just like a little decoration. Oh, it's so sweet. So I thought that could sit really nicely on top of the TBR card. Wait, I love it. And they had so many different ones. They had like the reader, the they had lots of cool ones and then some like more spicy ones because it's obviously a romance bookshop. But that was my little haul from yesterday for Indie Bookshop Day. I think this is going to wrap up the sort of like bookish portion of this video, and then I'm going to go into my alchemized reading vlog from here. And I feel like I'm just going to do a spoiler video. I'm just going to do, like, I feel like most people have read this book at this point. So if you don't want spoilers and you don't want to know about this book, thank you for watching. I would exit out here. However, if you want to check out the reading vlog, be my guest. Just be warned, it is going to be a spoilery one. I'm gonna chat about some of the details, I think. Let's get into the reading portion. Otherwise, thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed the little like indie book haul as well as the independent bookshop shopping trip. I feel like it was kind of short, but I yapped a lot about books at the beginning. I feel like this is gonna be a long video. You're welcome. Okay. Let's get into it. Okay guys, I've got my pen, got my tabs. Let's start. Okay. Part 1. Prologue. Okay, I've read the prologue. It's not looking good. This is set up for a dark start. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Guys, I'm so nervous. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna lie in bed, read this, and I will let you know when and where I have thoughts and updates. Ruh-roh. I have read the prologue and the first 2 chapters, so I'm on page 36. We're about to start chapter 3. Oh, my makeup. So far, this is a war story. You can tell this is going to be dark. Like I said, I haven't read Manacled, so to me this is like a brand new story. I feel like nothing is blatantly a direct derivative of Harry Potter. There's probably like, you know, I don't know if you guys in like your English classes had that thing where it was like the trope, it was almost like tropes of, you have like the chosen one and the villain and like all of those different, like there's that coming into play here that you could probably like see and infer who might be in the original product, like an ode to that person, but this is very much like its own storyline. And she's dark, she's very dark, and I do appreciate that that's like straight off the hop. You know you're getting into something like, this is only 30 pages in and you can infer already like, oh, this is going to go to some dark and twisty places, which I think is probably a good thing, because like sometimes you sometimes you read things and you're like, oh, this is fine, and then you get like 70% of the way through and they whack you over the head, and that's also like that's a choice. But it's nice to be able to like infer like, oh, this is going to go to some places. Just so that you like mentally can prepare yourself. Obviously that's like what the content warnings are in the back as well. But like, I'm not one, like even for this is pretty early on. I usually honestly don't think I have like an opinion about a book until quite far in. Like I'm not someone who after the first chapter, unless it's like standout amazing or horrendous, after the first chapter I'm usually not someone who can like offer you an opinion, because I'm like, I don't know, like we're just starting, and this is over 1,000 pages, so this could go either way right now. I anticipate it's not going to be the giggliest or funnest of times. I anticipate this is going to be a hard read. But so far, I'm very intrigued. There's a lot of setup. The magic system seems very cool. I don't know if anything can be classified as cool in this setting so far, but the magic setting is interesting. I'm probably going to read like one more chapter and then head to bed for the evening because, yeah, it's late. And let's see where this goes. I'll keep you in the loop. Probably check in tomorrow at some point. But so far, we're starting a story. We are starting a story, and it's gonna most likely go to some dark places. That's all I've got. And I just waffled for far too long to get that point across. I don't usually like check in this much with books. It's kind of like stressful. I feel like I have to like force myself to say something. I don't need to force myself to say something, but I fear I might be. Either way, that's my paraphrasing summary of where we are so far. After 4 minutes of talking, so you're welcome. Hello, good morning. I didn't film anything yesterday because it was our like Thanksgiving dinner, but I am on page 130 of Alchemized, and I wish I'd filmed myself yesterday because there are some elements in this where I think I'm just so scared, like I'm assuming the absolute worst of everything because people say this is so devastating. But there was one bit where they sort of talked about there's like a breeding program, and when I say like the blood rushed out of my face, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. It was very like, there's some Handmaid's Tale elements. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure. But then after like Helena said she was sterilized, I was like, okay. That doesn't mean anything, but it might help. I don't know. I mean, at least it gets her out of that program. But also the unpacking of the different sort of like sides of this history and war is like, I do fear there is crack in this book because I need to know what happens. I'm just like, what is going on? And there's obviously her memory's not reliable right now. We've only got a certain experience that we're learning from as we go with her. It's very well puzzled, if that makes sense. I think you just kind of like, what? I'm not sure. Yes, I'm very intrigued as to see what's going on because there's certain like red flags, obviously, from Luke and the Resistance. However, I'm not really one for the like current, what are they called? I'm not really one for the current regime either, so I don't know, guys. It's very good. I'm gonna keep going. All I want to do is sit and read. Even like we were at dinner last night, we're having a lovely meal, and I was sitting there and I was like, I can't wait to go and read my book. So we're about 13% of the way through of this brick. What else was there? I'm also really intrigued because I feel like we're getting different sides of Theron or of Cain right now. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've got some theories. I feel like maybe Cain was part of like a friendship or something with Helena and Luke in the past, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot going on. But I'm scared because he's already sort of mind violation stuff with obviously trying to get in her brain. And I'm also just worried like how far gone he is. Also, what happened to him? We don't know yet, but I don't think it's gonna be good. Whatever it is. So yeah, got another dinner with my boyfriend's family tonight. I'm gonna try and get a good chunk of reading done today, hopefully. Because yeah, I can't stop. It's all I'm thinking about. But that's my little check-in. I'll keep you in the loop. I'm on page 186. And I'm so fixated on this like breeding program. I feel like Stroud has done something to her that will invite unwelcome things. I'm just scared and I'm so fixated on it, and there's so much going on that I could probably look at other things, but that one is like I'm so scared. And at this point I feel like I'm so far in and I'm invested that it wouldn't like make me stop reading the book, and that's just whereas if that was an early on thing, I probably wouldn't read it. Okay, so Stroud did reverse her sterilization and has said that her priority is now being pregnant and put in this breeding program over the, what was it, transference, and they're about to tell Farron, and I'm nervous. Oh gosh. But also, like, Farron's not a good guy, but he's not the worst. Oh, like, I kind of like him, but I know he's a monster. And where we go from here... I feel sick. Ugh. I need a break. I don't know if I can do this. But like, The Handmaid's Tale was one of my favorite books. It's like after midnight and I know I won't be able to sleep unless I see... I mean, they literally just told Farron, and they just told him that he has 2 months basically to impregnate her. And then otherwise she's getting shipped off to just be... I feel sick. I feel sick. Like, he doesn't want to either. Faced with the choice of struggling or cooperating with her own so that it would not be as bad as it could be, made her feel so guilty. Her mind threatened to shear apart. If the destination was inevitable, her only choice was in how horrifying the journey would be. Okay, so I just finished part 1. And I think that's going to have to be it for tonight, because otherwise my well-being won't... I mean, I'm already anticipating this book's going to hurt. It's a very fascinating read, because yes, there's like the Handmaid's Tale elements where obviously none of this is like, all options here are bad. All of them are bad, and all of it's just devastating and horrible. And so what I'm thinking is part 2 is going to go kind of like delve into her memories and see what on earth has been going on. Because yeah, this is almost 300 pages of like, what's going on? And I'm really, like, we don't know what Farron's game is. And I'm anticipating they had some kind of like relationship prior to all of this, or the events of this book. I don't know. And it's all a lot of very sensitive subject matter. And I do think, like, I think the way that someone had said it to me was like, why would you write this? Or like, why does this story need to be told? And I think that is a fair question. That is a fair question. And I also think, like, it's not going to be for everyone. But I will say I do think that the writer has handled it well, with all of the like horror and devastation, but also the guilt and the warping of Helena's psychology. I think has been done very well. It's just a tough read, isn't it? My word. I want to keep going, but I also don't. Yeah, if we're going into her memories, that's going to be just more horrible events happening, but in the past. And now we know what situation we're finding her in as we leave the present. I just want to know what Farron's up to, where his mind's at. We love reading. So relaxing. Okay, they just kissed. Oh, hello. They just kissed. This is very much like an extreme circumstances type of... I know. It's very much like extreme circumstances within this romance, so I don't really know how to feel about it. Like, I am rooting for both of them, but I'm also not ignoring the many, many red flags. But also, this is war, so I don't know how I feel. I just know that I can't stop. So I was thinking about this. It's like, I wouldn't say this is like an enjoyable book, but I can't stop. Helena is so hard on herself. And everyone else is like really harsh on her too. There's no winning. whatever happens here, she suffers. There is no winning, but it's about 8:30. I'm gonna read in bed. I'm hoping I can maybe get done part 2 today. I don't actually know how long part 2 is. I'm assuming long. Also, someone said to read the prologue again after you finish part 2. So, might do that. Because apparently it just hurts. Here's the thing. I will always be a sucker for a training montage. No ifs, ands, or buts. I feel like if you read this chronologically, it would be a very different experience, because reading this is like very militant style fantasy, espionage, just really dark, militant. But having read part 1 first, there's another layer to it and another kind of depth of, I guess, tragedy of like, oh my gosh. So that's sort of, yeah, I don't know. But I am enjoying the expansion and, yeah, background of Kane and Helena in a not good environment, maybe slightly less extreme or drastic than the one that we just read in part 1. I don't know. Okay, so we now know that the eternal flame is all a lie, but Luke doesn't know. So she just told him, Luke, that they're not friends anymore, which is sad. But then they've also told her to kill Kane, and she has a month to do it. And it's just, nothing is right. Everyone is wrong. None of this is good. I'm so stressed. Well, we just got Kane's backstory. This book is monstrous. They're about to go on the Luke rescue mission. I'm so nervous. It's all just painful. Amaris. We love a little fluffy sidekick who hates everyone except him. However, we're ignoring the fact that animals were tortured for Amaris' existence. I fell asleep in the middle of a chapter last night. But I feel like we got a whole 10 pages of things not being super horrendous. Like, we got a good 10 pages of something like sweet and nice, and that makes me extremely nervous for where we're going now. I'm on page 684. Kane and Helena have admitted their feelings for each other. They've admitted their feelings and established their own personal relationship outside of all the espionage, which was very sweet and also not. And just heartbreaking. And also Kane is such a interesting character. He's such an interesting character. I'm conflicted reading this in third person, so no wonder Helena is beating herself up. But we're going to jump back in. I've got about just under 200 pages left of part 2, and then the rest is part 3. I'm running out of tabs. Who else is it? Okay, so I did finish part 2, and then I reread the prologue, and just even the word choices in the prologue are so much more devastating now. These people are so morally corrupt and ambiguous, all because of love in the most extreme circumstances. And I haven't cried yet. I've seen a lot of people really getting upset, and I haven't gotten that deep. I've had moments where I'm like, oh, I think I've just been deep sighing more than crying. I am almost out of my tabs, which is annoying, but I do have another set of slightly different ones, but I don't know if you can see she's been tabbed. They've got some good lines in this. And I'm just nervous now. I think it's 200 pages for part 3. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be going back to after part 1. I'm scared. I'm so scared. But I do have a little leftover lemon pie from Thanksgiving, so that's how I'm comforting myself through this endeavor. Let's do this. So they're talking about the baby, and he's offered to help her terminate the pregnancy. She's decided she'd like to keep it. He says, do whatever you want. She says, I am, and I want you to know that if I didn't, I'd wonder about everything. If our baby would get your eyes or mine, what kind of resonance they'd have, if they'd have any, or if they'd just be ordinary. I'd wonder if they'd have hair like mine, or if it'd be straight like yours. If I have to go without you, if you die, I'd want to tell them about you. I've never gotten to tell anyone about you. I want someone to know what you were like. Okay, now I'm getting emotional. Okay, we're on chapter 75. Cain might be healed. They may have just escaped, but it's all just like, that just seems too convenient, and I think we've got like 70 or 80 pages left, and I'm so stressed. Part 3 has really been like heart-wrenching. I feel like I've like almost teared up a few times, but so far I haven't. Who knows, maybe I'll hit the last 10 pages and just be sobbing on camera on the internet. Who knows? Let's go. Okay, I've slept on it. I don't even know how to describe my experience with this book. Part 3 was my favourite. I loved the ending. It was super satisfying and not what I was expecting, which was really nice. I do feel like I went in expecting this to be the darkest thing I've ever read, the worst thing I've ever read, like in terms of experience. And it's more than good. I wouldn't say I enjoyed most of this in the sense of like, yay, but like I was absolutely captivated. I enjoyed the story, not necessarily the elements of the story. It was absolutely gut-wrenching, but it wasn't as dark and horrible. The ending wasn't as gut-wrenching as I thought. It definitely made me tear up, but more in that sort of melancholy, bittersweet way. And I really loved the ending. I do think, hear me out, I didn't read Manacled, so this is just my opinion as someone who's reading this by themselves. I do think this could have been a little bit shorter. It could have been trimmed down. Just maybe like 200 pages. However, I know that this probably already went through a lot of edits and like redesigns throughout changing it from a fanfic to a traditionally published book. So I completely appreciate that this is probably like partly, it does stand on its own 2 feet as its own book, and it's still really, really well done. And there's probably a little bit of that sort of like, not fan service, but kind of like an ode to the original supporters of senlinyu's work. So I completely understand. And I really love this. I really love this. I tabbed the living daylights out of this book. I really did. And like, yeah, there were just so many stunning lines. The prose was beautiful, and also just the emotional journey of the characters and the situational journey. Oh, it was good. It was beautiful. It was gut-wrenching. I don't know that I would necessarily recommend this book to everyone. I don't know that it would be everyone's cup of tea, but I had a good time. Not a good time. I had a very devastating time, but I did like this book, and I do think it was well done with how everything unfurled and unveiled itself. I liked it, but part 3 absolutely was my cup of tea. I really liked it. I kind of want to just give it 5 stars because I had such a good time, but I do feel like I did think it dragged on just a tiny bit. So maybe it's just like 4.75, 4.5. However, it does give me 5-star feelings. I just wish it was a bit shorter. I don't know. Somewhere between 4.5 and 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. I can't imagine how long this video is at this point, so if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Have you read any of the books that I did earlier in the bookish part of this vlog? Have you read Alchemized? What did you think? It's very controversial. Everyone's got a different opinion. Very popular. I'm kind of glad that I read it, but I know that not everyone is. But yes, thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought. Any video requests as we move throughout the rest of the year. There's not too many weeks left. Alfie says hello. But yes, thank you again. If you want to like or subscribe, it does help as I grow this channel. Like I said, it's been a bit of a plateau over September, October for this channel's growth, which is fine. I still just like making videos, so yeah, it's here. But yeah, if you want to help, that would be lovely. And I always say the comments are my favorite, and yeah, thank you. I'll see you in the next one.